Yes, people, welcome to United Real Therapy. Here with a man like Saeed. Saeed, how you doing, bro?
Yeah, man, all good, man, all good. Missed a day, but we're all good, man. To be fair, it's come out now again.
It's come out,
It's come out, man. It's like, it's like the European football at the minute. It's coming, it's going, you know what I mean? But we're here, man. Good to see everyone, man.
The Sun's playing hide and seek in Manchester, people.
Exactly,
playing hide and seek. But anyway, welcome to all of you guys. Therapy Army, where are you? Blast me having you, Therapy Army. Another afternoon show, this one. But yeah, definitely shout out to the mods. People have been asking for mods. Man like Rez 90. Big up man like Kansana. Big up man like Ramadeen Laisi. You know what? My reporter. United Real Therapy reporter. Yeah. Big up to every one of you. Every one of you, man, being part of the mods. Obviously, you can catch the rest. But we're here to talk about the Euros. And Saeed, it's got to be said, soon as that team was announced, everybody's looking at their phone at 1 o'clock. Actually, the team news got leaked, innit?
Yeah,
got leaked hours before.
They need to stop that, by the way.
Somebody's leaking, innit? Listen, there is something about the England team, yeah, and the Man United team, innit? In terms of leakage. And actually, yesterday was for the first time. So let's go for a fact anyway. Yeah. Yesterday was the first time ever that in a Euro, in a competition, either the World Cup or in the Euros, where in the first team's match day 11, there was no Liverpool or Man United player.
Swear down.
Swear down, mate.
Wow.
Facts, people. Only deal with the facts on this channel.
That's crazy. That's a bit of a sad one.
You know what? And it was the first game ever. Well, there was a former City player. You know what I mean? There was the City players and that. There was a lot of like Chelsea players.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But they weren't a Man United or Liverpool. And actually, I think that's a healthy thing, me personally. I'm not going to look at it in a bad way. Yeah. Obviously. But the team got leaked. And everybody who supports England, absolute meltdown mania. All over online. Yeah. Meltdown.
But what happened?
What happened, mate? What happened? Ole Gunnar Southgate shot you all up, didn't he?
He did, man. He did.
Ole Gunnar Southgate shot you all up. And people were texting me going, Trippier, why are you playing Trippier? And I told them all, he's playing Trippier because it's Trippier. He's been Simeone. When you get coached by Simeone, right? Even if you're an attacking player, you become ultimate defensive player. Yeah. And he also knew, right, that he doesn't want everybody to bum on. And now in the scheme of things, Luke Shaw and the Chelsea left back, they're both Chidwell, they're both forward in mind to get the emotion, get hold of them.
I know.
And the most thing that you saw yesterday was that the both fullbacks stayed put.
Yeah.
Stayed absolutely.
They didn't go forward as much as they would.
You know what? Stayed put. The two centre halves and Declan Rice was just in front. And I thought that worked. But in that first 20 minutes, what did you think in that first 20 minutes?
I thought first 20 minutes we played well. What we did was we pressed very, very good. That's the good. You know the thing about Southgate, even with Ole, you know what I mean? They press well. You know what I mean? They try to come at you. They've got a lot of energy. You know what I mean? And I thought for me, Phillips was unbelievable. No, big kept Phillips, pressing them. Declan Rice was playing good. They were trying to get them in there and trying to get and Modric should not come and dictate. You know what I mean? Even though Modric, I thought, had a good game and he started to nutmeg a few people. Yeah. But Brozovic had an unbelievably bad game, mate. You know what I mean? Kovacic couldn't get in the game. They were stifled. And I thought we did what we had to do. And then obviously Foden had that big chance. I should have scored, but unlucky. You know that goal, that goal would have happened if the keeper moved an inch his leg. That would have been an own goal.
But it took a deflection. I think the deflection
maybe was the reason why.
And then hit the post. Yes, the deflection kind of bent it right in.
But I thought for me, that first 20 minutes, I thought we were very, very... You know what it is? I don't think we'll get to England now where everyone thinks expansive football, fast, everything's fast. It's methodical now. You know, Southgate has learned from the Simeones now. He's probably learned. He's probably told Trippier, what do you do with that plastic?
Yeah, do, lad.
When you go back this line here.
Exactly. Have a word with Walker. Tell him to chill. None of all those sprints.
It's true.
Chill.
You know what it is? I think England now, last that tournament, Croatia, they tried to go at it a bit more. And now he's saying, you know what? If we're tough to beat, then you know what? Maybe that's the basis. And you know what, Nuruddin? I'm not going to lie, it's not pretty. Sometimes I was like this, man, Nuruddin. I was like, go on, man, get on the pitch. I mean, it's not pretty, but I tell you what,
it's effective.
It's effective. And in a tournament, maybe that might. But the thing is, I'm just saying to yourself, that The substitution, man. They're a bit of a mad one. You know what I mean? Like
that's why where Ole Gunnar Southgate comes in.
Ole Gunnar Southgate, man. The substitution, I'm like, what's going on here? You know what I mean? What's he doing here?
To me, that when he bought a Rashford, I'm like, nah, mate.
What was he doing up front?
Nah. I think Sterling by that time was getting tired. And shout out Sterling. Well, let's talk about it. So you already smacked out Phillips. And I've heard you for the season. You've been going on about Phillips, right?
Absolutely.
I actually think he's a good player, obviously.
Yeah. But would he leave Leeds?
One of the most fantastic coaches in the world. You know what I mean? One of the innovators.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Bielsa, shout out Bielsa. But I didn't think that he had that in his locker. What he done yesterday, going breaking through the lines and that pass just nonchalant left foot there sets Sterling through. Obviously, we all know the history of Sterling and the British media. We already know the history of it, right?
What was she saying?
Yeah, I mean, we know, and I mean, that's what the most. You see him smiling at her. You know what? One thing I gotta say, Sterling. You know what? He didn't say it. He didn't go crazy at it because they would have used that 2 minutes of him saying something disparaging to her, and they would have blown it out of proportion. He just looked at her and smiled. He just looked at her and smiled and went like that. I'm trying, and you can tell. You know what? That's all he said.
Everyone knows I've had whatever's happened in City. But that's what happens to media. They always try to spin things, the narrative, so it suits them. England's now playing, Sterling's now playing better for England. Look what happens when you change an environment, They're trying to make out this. It's all a propaganda for me nowadays. But big up to Sterling, man. I think, a lot of people go at Sterling too harshly. I don't know what it is, It's that sort of player. I don't know if it's because he left Liverpool.
He does, that's where it started. Majority, and I just want to get this in now, right?
Yeah.
Majority of the British, a lot of the press, a lot of them grew up Liverpool fans or admiring Liverpool, right?
Yeah.
And when he left, they were like, they tried to make him out to be like, he's greedy, he's this, he's that. Saeed, I'm telling you now, right? That kid left, improved his career. Went to Man City, won trophies, and Liverpool obviously in their own right have become successful since, right?
Of course.
But that's what they've done, right? That's what they've done, right? Let me just grab that for you there.
People.
Working here, mate.
I'm uploading the podcast, people.
That's it. He's up. That's it. You never rest this guy. Never rest, man. Never rest with this guy. Work ethic is second to none.
Yeah.
So, and I think that a lot of people are like, oh, he's greedy, he's this and that.
Yeah.
But look at him. We're one of the most fantastic coaches in the world. One of the most fantastic coaches in the world.
Yeah.
And can anybody deny him? And obviously, after that, the smears. The man bought a house for his mum, and the man are having a go, and the man's shopping.
Black successful. You know what I mean?
Black successful young man. And next minute, what's happening? Black successful young man. And what's happening next minute? What is happening is that the media wants to have a go at him. Rachel, welcome. How you doing, sis?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
We're doing well. Obviously, we're buying that England beat. England put a ghost to rest. You know what I mean? Yeah. We're talking about just saying that Ole Gunnar Southgate has silenced a little bit of the critics, because I can imagine there was absolute meltdowns all over the show. They get in there when that team news was leaked, and then it became the official team news. So what did you think of the team news, Rachel? When you first saw it, the England team news.
There were a couple of interesting choices. The fullbacks were interesting. I thought Jack Grealish would start, personally. Was surprised Sterling started because he's been quite poor in general in terms of his form. England was solid. I think they were solid. They were in control for most of the game. I don't think they did anything exceptional, personally, but I think they just got the job done, which is really good from their point of view. And they won I think it was their first group stage or match day one win in the Euros.
Ever in the Euros. Wow. Ever in the Euros. They always draw. I mean, I remember I'm old enough to remember 96, and it was a draw against, I think it was Spain. It was a draw. I think it was Spain in the first game.
Wow.
People are saying here, you know what, Sterling is a poor finisher, and 100% I agree. But Sterling has been good for England in the past couple of years since he's been coached well. You can tell he's a player that's coached when he went from Liverpool. He had raw talent. He went to Man City, working for Pep Guardiola, and he's been one of the most consistent footballers in this country in the last couple of years.
He doesn't score for a little bit. It's almost as if
exactly. And he's not a striker. He's an inverted winger, isn't he? He's an inverted winger type striker. So, but I actually thought that he always backed himself. He always said he grew up around Wembley. As a Londoner yourself, Rachel, he grew up around Wembley, and he always refers to London, Wembley as his backyard, and he backed himself. And I thought there was a player that was really backed by the manager, and then the manager being repaid back, because I thought he was one of England's best attacking players. Yeah. I didn't really see anything of Kane other than him trying to shove his arm.
He was very good.
He's so like deep. Stay up front, man. What are you
I agree.
With this?
Do you know what's crazy? The amount of times England got the ball wide and Harry Kane was like just outside the box or at the edge of it waiting for a cutback. Yeah. Like, I didn't realize he was Martial or Rashford.
Exactly. He's been watching Man United. He's been watching Man United.
It was crazy. He wasn't in like the sort of the 6-yard box trying to make runs across the post or anything.
Yeah. Yo, just big up from Nepal, man. I don't know what time it is over there, man. It's Satanak Nopane. Sorry if I've absolutely butchered your name, but I'm dyslexic and it's easy. Already as well. You know what? It's bad that for me, but big up. But for me, I've titled this video Ole Gunnar Southgate shutting the nation up. You know what I mean? It could be Ole Gunnar Southgate. It is Ole Gunnar Southgate. You know what I mean? So, but I genuinely think that I think it'd be very interesting to see. Saeed was talking about the substitutions, but I thought he made a wrong substitution, especially making Rashford as the central kind of striker. I thought he could have gone for him to play on either side, you know what I mean? Yeah. Other than going for him, because that makes.
And then he brought on Calvert-Lewin for 2 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day,
5 apparently.
Yeah, no, that's what I said. Five substitutions all throughout the Euros, people. That's what most teams, and I think it's rightly so as well, because of the truncated season, how European football is playing every 3 days being a football game. Yeah. But what did you think of his substitutions, Rachel? And do you think that he chose that team specifically for that game? And do you think that we'll see a different team against Scotland?
I think maybe he brought on Rashford for Kane because Rashford provides a different sort of threat up front. Harry Kane didn't try to make runs in behind, but I think because Croatia were quite slow and they did leave a bit of space, no one was exploiting it. So
and
I
also
think
they were going for it. They were going for it. They were taking off defensive players, bringing on an attacking place. They were going for it. So we understood that it was for the counter. But I always think when you bring Rashford as a central striker, it's bad because he likes to make that diagonal run from the wide areas. It's real weird for him to make the run from the middle. Do you know what I mean? He has to almost kind of like curve his run from the wide areas. But carry on, sorry, Rachel.
No, I understand that, but I think the whole point is Rashford. You know what Rashford's like? He will drift to like the left, he'll drift to the right, and he will try and make those runs as well. I think because of the front three they had, you would have players interchanging. And that would provide the different threat, which I think it kind of worked, to be fair. I think England, they sort of dealt with the extra little bit of pressure that Croatia tried to provide. I think they dealt with it quite well. I thought they were just solid. I don't think there was anything exceptional. I think a lot of people sort of went really overboard with a lot of the, it's coming home talk and that. But it's England fans in a nutshell.
Of course. That's what I'm saying to you. And you know what? I'll pick up Rio Ferdinand, man. Rio Ferdinand's like, it's coming, and he stopped himself. Because my man learning it from him saying, sign, get that dotted, get that pen, get that. Big up Rio. But I think people were gassed because England lately in the warm-up games have been atrocious. I think that we have to put it in the context why people were gassed. Yeah. So also Croatia, no slouch. You know what I mean? They knocked England out. They knocked England out of the last Euros. So the last World Cup in the semi-final of the World Cup. So they're no slouches. But I actually thought that Croatia were a bit more negative. I understand that they're going through the kind of transition. Some of the older players are getting older and they try to bring in. But I thought he went quite defensive. And I thought for the first game, every team that's gone slightly defensive have been beaten. I don't know what your analysis has been since then, about these 4 or 5 games that have been played. But every team that's tried to be a bit more defensive have absolutely been beaten and have not come any fruits. So I think this tournament, I'm hoping that sets a trend that people have to go for it. It's always the first game. Everybody goes there very cautious, very defensive. But I thought in that first 20 minutes, Rachel, I've not seen England play like that with that level of intensity for a very, very long time.
Yeah, no, I hear that. I think the teams that are doing well are the people that keep the ball the best. Yeah. They're keeping possession. They're stopping the opposition team from putting pressure on them. And I was saying this about England. Like, a lot of people, when they were speculating about the sort of lineups for Gareth Southgate, I was sitting there thinking the defense isn't great. So the best thing that you should really do is try and get players who are good on the ball to keep the ball and to sort of pick their moments so that when they attack, they can do something with it rather than invite pressure. Because if you start playing 3 at the back and then you have 2 holding players, and you don't have outlets, you end up in a situation where the opposition team will put pressure on you. And that's what England don't want to have, because they don't want to put their defence under pressure. You need players that can keep the ball. I think they did really well with that yesterday. I think I think Declan Rice was very good. Like his role was very simple. He didn't get the plaudits that he deserved, to be honest. It was very strange. I was seeing on the timeline.
Very true.
Yeah, he protected the defence so well, and he kept the ball.
Amount of times he went wide to help Walker, and then he went on the other side to help Trippier. But with me and Saeed were talking about Trippier, and everybody was getting to me. You know what I mean? I was doing a circuit class and in the park and stuff. I was with my crew, exercise crew, Warriors. Shout out to all my Warriors, man. You know that. But everybody was like, Trippier, and I was like, because he's been Simeoned. Defensively, tactically, he knows when to go, and both him and Walker didn't really go past the halfway line a lot too much.
And he saw, sorry to cut you off, but he saw like maybe Shaw in the Europa League final.
Yeah, man.
He's not been very good in terms of positioning wise. And he's probably thinking, Trippier knows how to be defensively in shape. You know, he made a little mistake that, to kind of like the back pass, but apart from that, you know, he didn't really put foot wrong. But the problem is, though, when you get later to the tournament, we see it with Ashley Young, you know what I mean? At the end, when you need a person's goal side or inside, and someone comes in on you when you're not on your favourite, that they go in with the head off. That's the problem. And Southgate, keep calling Ollie.
Ole Gunnar Southgate.
Ole Gunnar Southgate, you know.
People are praising him in this channel as honestly, it's the viewers. I've got to always reflect what the viewers are here saying. The therapy army coined the phrase Ole Gunnar Southgate, so that's what we've got to call him.
But you know what I mean.
But what did you think of Trippier's? Game, and as him playing as a left back? What did you think about that and how he played?
I think defensively he was fine. I think offensively there was a bit of an issue. I think a lot of his passes came inside too much. There wasn't a lot going down wide. And that's fair enough. He is right-footed at the end of the day. It's inevitable. It's not really his fault because he's used to playing a certain way. It's very difficult to sort of just change your whole game.
Yeah. And here's a question, actually. It's just talking about another competition as well. People are like, why are both? Everybody's getting like footballed out because, what, last night we watched the Copa America, after it was Ukraine, probably the best game of the tournament so far. Ukraine against Ukraine against Netherlands, probably 3-2 game, fantastic game. And then after that was Brazil game, and I watched some of it before I was falling asleep on my couch. But what did you watch that game? I know that you're a Brazil fan. Some of your family are Brazil. Did you watch Brazil Venezuela last night, Rachel? Rachel?
Hi.
Yeah, sorry, we lost you there for a minute.
Sorry, no, I think it's just my internet being funny. Virgin Media and all that.
Neil Ashton's got you.
Neil Ashton's bugging you out.
Neil Ashton's found out where you live, Rachel. It's all over.
Yeah, I need to sort that. I missed what you said. Apologies. I'm everything that you said.
Yeah, I'm just saying that. After that, we're getting loads of football at the moment. Obviously, the Copa America is also on, and we know that in the last time when we did the preview to the Euros, we were saying that you and your family, like a lot of your family, and you growing up, you always supported Brazil. Brazil being a team. Obviously, it's everybody's second team, and sometimes a lot of people's first team. But did you watch any of it? It's just, one of the commenters is asking here about the Copa America last night. Brazil beating Venezuela 3-0. Did you watch any of it? Did you see any?
No, I couldn't. I had to deal with an emergency with a friend, which was really unfortunate. But I heard quite a few players had a good game. It was quite a solid performance.
Yeah. Apparently, Fred played 80 minutes.
Apparently, Fred played well.
Oh,
maybe
for him.
Go on, Rachel.
No, I was saying no. Honestly, I have no input on it because I didn't see the game. But I would say, like, if Fred played well, then that's great.
Fred Shackles. Maybe we might see McTominay play well today.
We might.
I always said, listen, I don't think McTominay is a great footballer. I think Fred, you know what I mean? I think he's great, but as a squad player for me.
Yeah, both of them.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. But when you take one or the other out, McTominay had a good game in the Europa League final.
Yeah, he did.
Fred's having a good game. Maybe, like I said to you, this is how I analyze McTominay and Fred. When you're back in the classroom, there used to be all them two kids, right? When they're together, they cause a nuisance.
Everybody knows.
Everyone knows, innit?
That's everybody knows me and Mighty Mundo.
There you go, Mighty Mundo and Nuruddin. They're in the classroom and the teacher's there. You two, sort yourself out. Right, I'm putting it off to each other now. You're sitting there. We're making a class router now.
Exactly.
So now, Nuruddin, you're sitting in the front of the class. Mundo back of the class. That's how we separate these two for them to achieve more.
Trust me.
You know what I mean? Listen, I know my analogies here, but this is another. They need to be separated for them to achieve greater things.
Of course.
You know what I mean? So that's my opinion on them too.
So
one day, guys, we'll get a DM and it will help us massively. One day we'll get a DM, hopefully.
Yeah. So somebody's saying on here, like one of the commenters saying Fred was man of the match. Well, wow, man of the match. Yeah. So big up Fred, man. We got nothing in love against him, but we just think Man United are going to compete for league titles, are going to go and compete for the Champions League.
Yeah.
Man United need to get better than those two. I have no run those two being part of the squad. Of course. But they can't be game by game playing for Man United.
We should have sentiment, I think. We need to get out of this mindset of, you know what?
Honestly.
Because back in the day, how many players that we liked that couldn't play?
No.
You know what I mean? Remember Herrera? We wanted Herrera to stay. I wanted Herrera to stay.
Yeah.
You know, imagine Herrera now. Oh my!
You look like a baller.
You look like a baller. I thought it was a bit basic. You know what I mean? Listen, he would absolutely be shy. Him and Fred would be absolute. Did they play together, by the way? Them two. Herrera and Fred.
Yeah, they played.
Yeah, they did.
One or two games there and
Why did we not play them more?
Listen, it was mad. It's absolutely mad. Listen, Rachel. Obviously, what have you thought of the Euros so far? Apart, obviously, we touched on the England game, but what have you thought about the tournament so far? And what have you watched? What have you enjoyed? What game have you watched and thought, you know what, I'm really enjoying this game?
I really liked the Italy-Turkey game. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I absolutely love possession-based football, and I really enjoyed Italy's performance. But the Ukraine-Netherlands game yesterday was ridiculous as well. Yeah. I love that game. That was just really fun to watch. There were some really good performances. Netherlands played well in parts. I think there were some parts where they were a bit iffy, but most of it they were dominating. They did really well. And Ukraine, they took their chances very well as well. I thought they were very good. And Yarmolenko's goal was ridiculously good as well. You should know better than to let him shoot in those sort of areas. But
I'm like, have they not done the homework? I'm like, Frank, have you not done the homework? That's the angle. That's all he is. That's why he plays on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side, to come in, play a couple of 1-2s. And he was trying it all game. He was trying to get that, that pass to get that just the layoff so that he can have a crack. But he played. Obviously, Rachel, all of us, the whole of world football was super emotional on the other day. It was Saturday. It was Saturday. Yeah. Watching Finland versus Denmark. Did you watch that game? Were you watching it live? Did you see?
Yeah. I watched it live.
What was your views? What you were seeing? Obviously, you were heartbroken, like everybody.
Oh, do you know what? It's weird because I've seen that happen in real life as well. Wow. And it's a very surreal sort of experience, and seeing it on TV. I think the worst part was sort of seeing everyone's reactions. Obviously, you're very aware what's going on. We've seen it before, like with Mwamba, and a few other players. And I think what I'd have to say is like just credit to everyone that showed their respect to Eriksen and that. But there was also the sort of shameless and horrific part of it with quite a few streamers doing a lot of clickbaity stuff literally 5 minutes after you're stretchered off. And obviously, like, I'm not here to stir up, I'm not here to call anyone out, but what I would say is that to the people that did that, they should be ashamed of themselves.
There was people that videos up online saying I think there was a video of something about Eriksen nearly died or something like that. Honestly, there was a video out there,
shocking, absolutely shocking to find. Do you know what it is? It's the fact that you just watch someone who obviously at the time we didn't know how serious was, what his status was, and the fact that someone's first thought was, let's make a YouTube video out of this, is an absolute disgrace. It really is.
Honestly, I put it out there. I just tweeted. I was just like, my heart's breaking because that's what I was feeling. Like Eriksen, my heart was absolutely breaking, and I was thinking about his family. And honestly, we were just praying in it. I was on my knees, like in tears, like just going, please, because it happened. I was watching another match live, and I've told it, on the Straight Jacket podcast, I'll be out at 4 o'clock this afternoon. Those of you not subscribed, hit over road to 40,000 on Saturday TV. But we talked about, I watched that game. It was a confederation game between Colombia and Cameroon, and it took place in Lyon in France. And a match after Vivian Foe, he used to play for Man City. And I remember watching that game, and he was collapsing and then being stretchered off, and then after the game hearing that he died, you know what I mean? So it took me back to that moment, and I was just like, please, not again, please, no, not again. And so it was super emotional. But you know what? And then I saw the photo. Somebody in the WhatsApp group sent the photo of him being stretchered off. And then I tweeted it out. I was like, please tell me it's real. Because I know what the internet's like, Rachel. I know what the internet's like. I know what these people are just, there's horror sickos, there's psychopath sickos online. And they'll just Photoshop anything. And you know, just to get clicks and like everything you said. So definitely I agree with everything you said. Where people are making video and try to make some like, you know, like.
Shame on the BBC as well.
You know what? Getting some live. What did you think of the BBC not cutting away to the studio? I mean, it was very emotional to see Fabregas and, you know, Gary Lineker,
Alex Scott as well.
Alex Scott, and then people having a go at Alex Scott, Rachel. I mean, could you believe that? What? Yeah, people.
I didn't know that.
Go Alex Scott saying, "What is she getting emotional about? Why is she making it about herself?" She's like, "I rang my mum to tell her I love her." That's what you do, because at that moment we were all realizing how fragile life is, because there was moments we were thinking, he's gone. He's gone.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They were working on about 15, 20 minutes on the pitch. The he was gone. So give us your view, especially on, obviously, a female journalist on, you know, I mean, one of the most respected pundit journalists.
Yeah,
Alex Scott. And people say, why she have to make it about her? It's not making it about her. She does everything
live on air as well.
Live on air.
Yeah.
Live on air, because it made you realize, but please give us your views. What did you thought about the BBC, first of all? Keeping it wasn't the BBC, but the BBC not cutting off the feed. I think it's Danish TV, but not cutting off the feed. What did you think about that?
Oh, that was crazy to me, because obviously, like the first time, obviously when the players were surrounding Eriksen and they were sort of covering, obviously the intention there was to make sure that no one else saw what was going on, because obviously it was distressing and that. And fair enough, maybe like the broadcasters would have seen it once, but it was the fact that they kept going back to it over and over again. And then they obviously got his wife in the shot, and she's going for probably one of the worst moments of her life, and they just kept going back to her as well. You know, I agree. They should have just cut it off and just let people deal with it separately, and don't let them see people in the most vulnerable situation of their life. It's ridiculous.
Give them the dignity.
Absolutely.
At the worst moment, do you want the worst moment to be broadcast to almost a billion people watching? Obviously, throughout the world. This is the Euros, all over the continents, all over this world. You don't want that when you're suffering, when a person is fighting for their life, he's fighting for his life. And at that moment, he was fighting for his life, because he went. I mean, the doctor explained it. He went. He literally went. And the defib and the CPR got him back. That's what he's alive today because of the defib.
By the way, we said on the Straight Jacket podcast, you know, people, you know, the importance of CPRs and
learning first aid.
You know, learning first aid. If you guys listen, I used to work in a school. You know, I was a teacher in a school, so we have to do it. It's by law.
I worked in a cultural arts center.
You know what I mean?
I have to learn it from fostering as well. We all have,
exactly. So
please, there's lots of free courses.
Yeah.
Please, everywhere you can subscribe. You know, you can go to your local community center and ask about when they're having their next first aid, and also learn where you live locally. Where's the defib around your local area if somebody needs it? Because the defibs are brilliant. They're absolutely brilliant piece of technology that they can literally, when you have a cardiac arrest or heart attack, they can restart your they can pump that heart again. They can pump that heart life
just
back to life again.
Exactly.
So please, anybody who's here, you can all be lifesavers. So learn first aid. Learn about how you can do CPR. Learn about, honestly, just register yourself. There's online courses now that you can do because of the Corona's running a madness. But anybody can save lives. Everybody can save lives. So you're all out there, people. Please be a lifesaver. Trust me. Imagine having to save somebody's life in the moment of distress. And that's the thing I didn't understand. I was like, in the BBC or putting away from the Danish TV feed. Go to the studio. Do not keep this going,
because that was the option that they had. A lot of people would say it's not their fault, and I think there was a guy, bless him, you know what I mean, you should not have got the abuse. This is what happens on Twitter, by the way. Don't send abuse to people who were working as runners in the BBC.
No,
you know what I mean. Like, let's.
Some guy
got abused here, and I think he's a director or a runner for a show that's not even linked to them. You know what I mean? Like this. So when you abuse people online, man, make sure you send Ofcom complaint. Do it formally. When you're abusing people online,
listen, don't abuse them. Listen, criticize.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with criticism, right?
Yeah.
Nothing wrong. Nobody's above criticism.
Nobody.
Us,
of
footballers, nobody's above. No human being about criticism. If you put yourself out there for people to have a view, but abuse is where it stops. Criticism is fine. Yeah. Disagreement is fine. Debate is healthy. Abuse is another thing at all. Yeah. And I think some of these like bandwagon, like there's people just like to jump on the bandwagon. They see a hashtag going around and they just do it. But police, Rachel, obviously you're one of the you're one of the most respected female pundits on YouTube in terms of football. I mean, police, give us a bit more insight. We're both men, you know what I mean? We don't know how it feels to be, have our views or being abused online. We've been racially abused. We can't count, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you definitely been racially abused.
Because of our gender. But what do you think of the comments of piling on somebody like Alex Scott?
I'm going to be honest. I'm sort of numb to those sort of comments now, if I'm being honest with you.
Wow.
But do you know what it is? It's a thing where it doesn't matter. Like, obviously, the people that I interact with, I know that they have the utmost respect, and I have the utmost respect for them. Yeah, but when you've got people randomly online, you're going to get people that I hate. Regardless, there's going to be discrimination of some kind. You can have a big nose and someone will discriminate against you for it. So I don't know, I'm sort of numb to it. Like I feel for Alex Scott, she does get a lot of abuse like that. A lot of the female reporters and the pundits do. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I think at the end of the day, because of the way social media is, you just got to have tough skin. And it's really sad that you have to say it like that. And it shouldn't be down to you. It should be down to the people that are abusing others to change, but we all know they're not. So I'm sort of at the point now where whether it's homophobia or the fact that I'm mixed race or anything like that, I'm sort of numb to it, if I'm being honest with you.
The key thing for me is I think it's education, because a lot of these I'm not trying to be ageist or anything, but the young generation that are on Twitter, they lack that kind of social interaction. Some of them have not been out their houses. Some of them have not been in workplaces where you're of different colors, different backgrounds. So honestly, sometimes I look at them, I think, what? If they was to give it a bit of education and been in the real world instead of been on their phones all day. This is why for me, I'm always I'm glad that I've seen the world. I'm always out there in the world, and I'm in the mix. And I understand people of all colors, all backgrounds, all races, all what's it called, genders, because I know it. But a lot of people who are online, and when they show people, they're in their bedroom. They're in their bedroom all day. They have no social interaction. The only time they got told to go outside when they're getting food. You know what I mean? Or their Uber delivery, and that's about it. They say hello and bye bye. So for me, education is very, very key. We can drum you down and say, what, you're wrong and all that. You have to educate these people, and I think once they're educated, I think you'll see a better world. But,
let's hope. Let's hope.
Let's hope.
Let's hope.
Yeah.
Talking to Blint, obviously Blint came up last night, and he was super emotional in the Ukraine Holland game last night. Obviously, he had similar thing happen to him. He collapsed, and collapsed. You know what I mean? And obviously, he's now back playing professional football. And he said in his statement, he said, it took a lot of mental strength for him to play last night, and that's why he was so emotional. Obviously, he's played with also. He came through this similar generation, didn't he? To Eriksen. So. Yeah, I mean, honestly, my heart went up to him as well. And he's one of the most, to me, he's one of my favorite footballers. I would never in my life ever get rid of David Blin. One of the most technically sound footballers. One of the most beautiful left foots I have seen witnessed as a Man United. Where did he play in the midfield? Where did he play as a left back? Where did he play as centre half? Absolutely brilliant footballer. But what did you think about him and the emotions surrounding that as well, Rachel?
Yeah, it's sort of a double whammy for him, isn't it? Because it's a friend of his that went through the same thing that he's already been through as well, twice. Like I remember he has collapsed a couple of times, hasn't he? Yeah. And it's a very personal thing for him. So it's understandable completely that he'd go off, that he wouldn't be able to handle the emotional side of it. Completely understandable.
But the courage last night to play as well. Like, it took courage, of course. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. It did. It did.
What did you know? What we didn't go into it in actually, we forgot to go into it on Straight Jacket podcast. But what did you think about the decision to play? I put a tweet out saying shame on UEFA for bullying them. Now some people took the word bully because I didn't know what the word is because I was angry at the time, right? I used the word bully, but they kind of coerced them because I said, you either play now or play 12 o'clock tomorrow. And I'm like, what kind
is that actually true? Is that what they actually said?
That's what they said to them. You can either play now or you play 12:30 tomorrow. That's the only option was given to them. The only option was given to them. So it's like, that is mad. At the end of the day, they only have to play maybe 45 minutes, right? Yeah. So they could have done it any other day, for 2 days time, when everybody's calmed down, when we know the full gravity and the situation and the and how bad things are for him, you know, for Eriksen himself. We would have, but they said to them. So I put a finger out saying bully. But what do you think about that decision?
So I didn't know that was true. The part where they basically gave them like an ultimatum. That's really bad if they did that, and it makes sense as to why the players agreed to it. Because if it was the players' idea and they communicated with Eriksen, they said, okay, collectively we want to play this game. That's fair enough. But if they were given an ultimatum and neither option was good enough, then yeah, that is a disgrace. I can't believe that. That's insane.
I think this life is crazy, man. You know, the fact that I like, you know, big up to everybody, by the way. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like the video. But for me, right, what you got to think is this is just the kind of like, just this life in itself, because how could he be in a situation where 1 minute a guy could be potentially dead, and then, you know, another minute you go into his, you know, the dressing room and ask you for an ultimatum? He's probably been asked by UEFA to say, right, what we're doing here, guys, now, you know what I mean? It's almost as if people don't know what's happening right now, and they say, you know what, right, what's happening? Are we going to play the game or not? I would have, for me, and this sounds crazy, but I would have said, you know what, everyone gets a point. You know,
Simple.
1 point each.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, right, a point is a very good point when you look at it. Because the next game, then you battle it out, and you say, you know what? Yeah. I think Finland would have took that for me at point. Because Denmark, for me, were never in the game. You see how his penalty? You see the penalty, man?
Nah, I refused to watch it. I refused to watch it.
I didn't watch it. I was watching the other game anyway.
I refused to watch it after that. But listen, I studied sport at university, and I did sports psychology. I did a lot of modules of sports psychology. I'm telling you now, at elite level sport, if you are not focused on the game, on the sport that you're playing, you're partaking, if you're not focused, if anything distracts your focus, you ain't in the same mindset. And could you just imagine? Could you imagine, right? So, could you imagine seeing one of your best players, one of your best friends,
idols,
on the pitch fighting for his life? Are you in that mindset to go and play a game? No chance.
No chance.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But yeah, go on, Rachel. Speak.
No, I agree. I agree with Nuruddin. Like, it's a very traumatic thing. Like when I saw it, like in real life, it wasn't even someone that I knew. It was really strange. I was out shopping with my mum, sort of thing, and a woman just collapsed on the floor. Didn't know her. She just collapsed, and even that was traumatizing. I didn't even know her, and it was traumatizing. So if it's someone that you know, and someone that you have a connection with, it could only be more traumatizing. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's something that people are not. They're not human anymore. That's what it feels like to me.
They're not
like robots.
No one's humans now.
Right,
you know
robots.
We're in a cutthroat society.
And people were getting to me on the comments saying to me, stop calling them they're real men. And I'm like, what's their agenda got to do with it? They're human beings. Yeah. What is this dehumanizing people because you're a man? You're not going to have emotions when you just seen your teammate collapse and for 20 minutes get worked on by doctors because he's battling for his life, and then you're in that right mind frame to go and play football. Football is a game. It's fun. It's competitive. You have to be focused onto that. Life is more important. I'm sorry to say, life is more important. His family, his kids, his friends, the fans, and the people, or even the fans. No, every person in that stadium, you give them another ticket for him to come back in again and to finish the game in a couple of days' time when everything's settled. When the players are allowed to go and visit him in hospital and see their teammate and be with him, and then to feel like, okay, he's going to be all right. You know, he's in the best place now. Right, that's what it would be. Not to be given ultimatum.
You know the Fabrice and Mambo one? Did they play it again?
I think so.
I forgot. They must have abandoned the game, surely.
Yeah, they abandoned it. It was rescheduled.
Yeah, so it got rescheduled, and there you go then. And I know we're in a tournament, but I just think for me, the UEFA right now at the minute, for me, they're an organisation all about money. And they're very, 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 for me, it's a capitalist, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it is.
It really is. And I feel like for me, this decision that was made within about 10 minutes.
It's surreal. It's surreal. But anyway, we've got to big up the
medics.
The medics. We've got to big up the referee. Obviously, the officials. The officials.
English referees.
You know what? Big them all up because they reacted quickly. I mean, it was so strange. Honestly, I was so super emotional. I don't know if you can tell people, but I'm very emotional. My opinions anyway. But I was super emotional because I was like, he's not been in the game as much. You know what I mean? He's not been in the game as much. And Finland were just super defensive in some ways. And he went to that side, got the ball through, and the way he stumbled, it just brought that back for me. It brought back, not obviously, Patrice, you know what I mean? Patrice, and also Matt Fidian forward, the way he collapses, the way they collapse sometimes, you can just tell. But big up to the captain, like the Danish captain, you know, put him in a recovery position already, flipped his tongue out.
Is there an argument that, you know, these guys are playing a lot of football, you know what I mean? They are athletes, you know what I mean? They're fit as a fiddle, but what I'm trying to say to you is, I think there must be some sort of players' organisation now. Is there a players' organisation?
No, there are. In most countries, there are professional associations here, the PA for it here.
PFA. Okay, yeah.
There are.
These guys are playing a lot of football, and you know, we don't have a what's it called, a winter break, you know. But us as a nation, we just think that we want football, especially the Christmas holidays. You know what I mean? When you want to see football after football, but we don't sometimes realize that. You know what, man? These guys need a rest, man. You know, they're playing a lot of football, and I think for me, these guys that they're playing in hot countries now. I know in Scandinavia, but in Scandinavia, you know, when it's in the summer, it can get hot. You know, so what you got to realize, people, is that, you know, I think the players in the Euros are back to back. It's like they're putting Copa America on just to force it down our throat at 10 p.m. on a Monday night. You know what I mean? What's going on?
But the thing about it is like the Copa America is over a couple of years, isn't it? Like, but the Euro, they clashed because the Euro got cancelled. There's somebody, JP here, it says the Denmark players agreed to continue the match after they heard that good news that Eriksen has been there. But yeah, I understand that, JB, but what people don't understand is that they were giving two options. They were giving, you either finish the match now or you come back 12:30 tomorrow. So that means that the players would have still been thinking about all of the emotions. Yeah. They would not have
slept. Would have been not right.
You know, they would not have slept properly, and then they would have come. They would have absolutely come again the next day and played. So that's the reason why, if they were given, say that, you know what, take it out of the players' control. Players,
that's the key.
Take it out of it. This game will be rescheduled. Do not worry, guys. Go on, be with your families, because at that moment, when things like that happen, you think about the people who live here, your friends and family. Those are the things that's what you think about, because it shows another teaching moment for us all humans, that with all of the craziness that's going on in a point, listen, you know what? You know, all of the craziness going on in our lives, that we think life is like that. It can be taken like that. You know what I mean? It can go in a flash. We can all be in distress like that. We can all be fighting for our lives in a flash. Yeah. So exactly like he said,
because that 0-0 at that point, wasn't it?
That's it. Yeah,
it's 0-0 at that point. I think a draw would have been perfect for both. Finland would have took a draw, slapped your hand off, mate. You know what I mean?
And even the Finland players as well. You see how distressed they were. It was just one of the most distressing things that we've ever witnessed in a football pitch since obviously Bolton against Tottenham, and since there's other games in it. Like there were so many other players. There's the guy who used to play. He's from Ivory Coast. He used to play for Newcastle.
Chexiote.
Yeah, same. It's like a lot of players have died. There's another African brother player who I think is Cameroonian or he's a Senegalese heritage. He died in Romania in in a top flight in Romania.
He collapsed. He died. Porta from Sevilla.
Sevilla. Yeah,
I remember Apinuri. I don't know if you guys heard Apinuri. What happened with him? The Ajax boy. Against Wolfsburg, friendly.
Ajax.
Donny's number. He was a really talented player, and he collapsed, and he's now paralyzed. It's horrendous. It really is. It's a horrible thing to go through and witness. It's not nice at all.
It's not, to me, at that moment, the distress. And for me, one thing you can never go away with is the way UEFA gave them this ultimatum. You either play now or you play tomorrow. It shouldn't be just like players, manager, because everybody's in a shock. It should have been said, you know what? We will find time to reschedule this game. Do not worry. Do not worry. Go and be with your families. Go and be with your loved ones.
Because at the end of the day, now what they're doing is they're playing every 6 days anyway. England don't play till Monday. They only play on Sunday. So they could have done
Friday. No, playing Friday. England playing Friday, Scotland. So they played Friday. They play Sunday.
Friday, but still a big difference.
Big
so games are not as if they're 2 days away.
You
know, like most, Europe, it's 5-6 days away. So at the end of the day, they could have done that. But for me, You know, again, man, I think what people don't realize is that yes, it might have been a player's choice, but it should never been a choice. It should have been, you know what, UEFA, we're gonna deal with it in this kind of way. But again, were there psychologists around? Were they kind of football psychologists around? I don't think they were. UEFA just say, you know what, come on, guys, we've got a guy there with a suit on. I think, you know what, come on then, let's get the game on. We're missing out the peas here. We've got a lot of money to go. A lot of people have, you know, we've given a lot of money to these to give, you know, the rights, TV rights.
Of course.
They're gonna say we want our money back. And even them, even they're as bad as each other as well, because they want to say, you know what, right, give us our money back because we didn't, you know, I know Eriksen's on the floor here, but you know, we want our money back.
It's mad, isn't it? It's mad. It's mad.
Crazy.
That's how it is. It all comes down to ching, ching, ching. That's what it comes down to. We got Nathan Manu here. I've lost 2 cousins because of cardiac. We're really sorry for your loss, brother. We're genuinely sorry for your loss. And this happens every day in all parts of the world. And every you know, our heart, you know, things with people with a heart, having heart attacks, whether it's strokes, all these things happen. So the more people who learn first aid, who come and get good at first aid, the more people can save. Honestly, you'd be surprised the amount of now the knowledge that's out there to be able to save somebody. And like I said again, I'll repeat this again. Please, if you're out anywhere in your workplace, know where the defib is. Please learn how to use it.
Touch on this?
Go on.
I mean, I just seen a video now on Twitter. Yeah, I mean, someone standing across.
Wow.
And he's just booing.
Wow.
You know, I mean, he's videoing himself booing.
Booing what? Taking the knee?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. On Twitter, people on Twitter, you know what I mean? Wow.
I'm tired of it, honestly.
Honestly, man. I think we need to touch on that. But for me, people don't understand. We're not here for the whole people that say it's a Marxist movement. You know what I mean?
Oh my God.
You know, honestly, you know, they say it's a Marxist movement and all this and that, Like, what you got to realize, we're fighting for equality. We're fighting for social justice. We're fighting for racial justice. This isn't just about sitting, you know, putting the knee down and saying, you know what, right, you've done your knee, right, on you go, son. You know, we're fighting for racial inequality. And what people don't realize is, that it happens all the time. Listen, I see it at Old Trafford every day. I see it with my own eyes. Paul Pogba racially abusing the stands. You black effing this. I seen it. Honestly, people, we don't realize this, you know. But when I say it, and I also reveal it to the whole masses, you know the whole story of the boy who cried wolf.
You're playing the race car.
You're playing the race car.
You got a chip on your shoulder.
You got a chip on your shoulder. You know what I mean? Like, people don't realize this. It's happened on the terraces, and it will still continue to happen. But you taking down a knee and you doing that, it's solidarity.
It's offensive.
And for me, you got people who are booing it. Like, there were people booing it in the crowd. I mean, there was also, we have to mention, there were clapping involved. A lot of people. It's a minority. Again, it's always a minority. But what people need to realize, it's not a movement. It's not a Marxist movement. You know, we're not here to kind of da-da-da-da. And also, by the way, people that say, oh, so why don't you da-da-da about Qatar? Listen, we're also with the Qatar people that have been, you know what I mean, through.
A lot of people who died building the stadiums are black and Asian people.
There you go then. So we don't fight all causes. We don't separate causes. We fight all causes.
And free Palestine while you're there as well. You know what? We keep it 100 people.
Rachel, sorry,
Rachel, you're going to say?
No, what I was going to say is that one of the things that I'm really fed up of seeing is people saying people should keep politics out of football. I am absolutely sick of it, right? It's a violation of human rights to discriminate against people. It's a straight up fact. That's just what it is. And when it comes to human rights, it's one of the most important and basic things that people don't even realize they have, especially in this country. People don't realize the rights that they have. They don't even realize that their rights are being violated. So I think it's a thing where people need to start understanding how the world sort of works a little bit and understand that human rights is not political. It's just a basic thing of life, and people need to understand what their rights are. And this whole politics and football thing is ridiculous. These players are role models, and people should stop abusing them, and they will be able to help educate the masses as well. It's about working together to try and achieve equality, right? So this whole idea that, you know, keeping politics out of football and all that kind of stuff is just ridiculous to me. I'm so sick of it.
Exactly. And it's also on with this discrimination. It's not just, you know what I mean? It's like, and the thing about it is that people don't understand that, like, Black Lives Matter is meaning because the way the world views black people because of the historical injustices. you know, with slavery and colonization and everything else has gone on throughout this world, right? That black people, we're still feeling the effects of those horrific things that happen to black people all four corners of this planet. And the way people view us and the way they view our lives. And the thing about it is that even the way black people experience racism is different. I always explain it can be gender, class, sexual orientation. It can, you know what I mean? It's all of these different things come into play. So the fact that people who are just not understanding the fact that there's equality, like equality. We're not asking anything for, we're just asking for equality. And for that, and that's why I've got a big up Southgate, because I'm telling you now, if it's Sam Allardyce, or any other England manager, he'll be like, no. I've read his open letter, and his open letter he said he loves his country, he loves Queen, because his values were given to him by his granddad. His granddad was in the army in the Second World War, and those are values. But he says, I'm happy for people to have different views from me, and that's why I'm backing my players. I'm backing my players because they have to stand against it. And I've always said, one of the first ever promises that I was blown away by was Southgate. Was when England players got racially abused somewhere abroad, and then he was like, "We got racism here." So what are we moaning about? Because you know how journalists and the media, it's them in that country. No, it's like, we got racism here, and I was like, wow. I'm like, no other England managers ever coming out with that, because they're always saying, what about when after I leave England, I need to be part of the establishment, and I've got to toe the line. No. And to me, yesterday, I'm telling you that Steve Sterling started running around, I would have got on one knee and raised that fist up, mate. That's what I would have done. Trust me, that's what I would have done.
Can I just talk on this point here? Listen, we're not saying that, you know, it's going to solve everything they need.
No.
But it's a start. And I think for me,
it starts a conversation.
That's what I mean. And if we can't even start the conversation, we've got this idiot here doing it in front of a camera, and you know what I mean, and trying to just put out a social media traction to go against the whole, you know, kind of whole movement, movement
for equality.
You know what I mean? Movement for equality. This is what I'm trying to say, people. I'm not trying to say it's going to solve everything, but if we can't put down this form of, you know, solidarity, where can we even begin then? Where are we going to begin if people don't want to know the ideology of, you know what? And you know what, for me, I'm fearing the worst of it. I should have laughed. I should have laughed. Imagine, right?
But it's funny, somebody's
fans come back in the stadium. I'm in the Alex Ferguson stand, and the woman next to me, or the person next to me, the season ticket, is booing the taking the knee. I'm worried, people, because at the end of the day, I'm looking around me. I think this will expose society, you know. I really do. Honestly, I could look at people differently now. I could look at my best mate thinking, you know what, you're not the best mate anymore. Or the person who sat next to me that was offering me sweets at half time, I could be like, you know what, take your sweets and I'm going now. I'm not coming back to the seat anymore. I'm gonna change my seat. I'm gonna call United. I'm gonna change my seat, mate. And I'm gonna say, you know what, I'm not sitting here anymore.
I don't want to be around that.
And I don't want to be around, you know what I mean, people that are not fighting for racial equality. And for me, this will, I think it's going to cause a lot of thingy for me, animosity, because when I look at it, I think the movement is brilliant and I want it to keep continuing. But also, if we're getting grounds and we're getting a lot of hate crime going up again, this is what I'm worried about as well. So the Premier League needs to expose it more. They need to put it out more. The more they do it, the more education people need, the more the better. You know what I mean? We've got to a society level where I went from high school thinking that, you know what, I could never have been over with Asian people. I'll be honest with you. I went to a predominant Asian school, you know, in Cheetham Hill, of course, Abraham Moss High School, right? And I've always lived with Somali people. I went to Abraham Moss, I was like, bloody hell, man, what am I going to do here? But by the end of it, you're best friends. Because this is what society teaches you, that you can't mingle with other race and equality. And I was 11 years old. I was like, I don't know, man. I want to be with my friends and whatnot. And by then, you mix in education forms in, and then boom, by the end of it, you turn into a new human being. Because at the end of the day, you've been through that process of, you know what, I'm a changed person because you've been through education. You know what other people's believe. You respect other people's belief. It's all part of education. But if you've never been through it and you're indoctrinated that, you know what, you know what I mean, God save the Queen, and then you know what I mean, and then almost as if, you know, you don't understand the whole thing of, we're not taking the knee because it's a political movement. We're taking the knee to fight
equality. That's to fight for equality. Simple as that. I mean, here, to let you come in, he's Cosmio Del Messi. I butchered his name again. Taking the knee is not going to gain equality. It's going to take a lot more than that. 100% I agree. 100% I agree. Also, taking the knee is a lot cheaper than a kick out campaign. 100% agree. Everything you said, I agree with. But what we need to do is going to be more. I mean, Gary Neville came out there. He was trending on Twitter, Rich. I don't know if you saw it. Gary never came out and said racial inequality, discrimination, like anti-discrimination, needs to be taught to all the footballers, all the clubs, to the FA, to the Premier League, and everybody's like, who the hell does he think he is? Why is he Virgil signaling? I'm like, Virgil signaling now is a new word if you have solidarity with people who are different than you. Right? That's the biggest absolute myth. And people in this country, gammons, I'm calling them out for what they are. Gammons, you know gammon are. You know who you are, yeah? Those who don't know who gammon are people who just absolutely stuck in their ways and refuse to change. And majority of them, they're just bigoted people. When it comes to orientation, sexual orientation, somebody's gender, somebody's race, xenophobia, hating people not from this country and not from here, all of that. People who hating that. What we're going to do is not for them, it's about the younger generation. So when people see people taking, because I was like, I'm with Sahar, you know, Sahar, pick up Sahar, man. You know what? Taking the knee ain't going to solve racism tomorrow. But what he'll do is start conversation. So you see people watching it on television, why are they doing that? Young people are like curious, especially children, like, why are they doing that? Because they're fighting against discrimination and they're asking for human, like you said, exactly what you said, Rachel. Human rights, fighting for equality and human rights of the rights of human beings. But that's what it is.
Then they'll say, I'm not racist, I've got black friends.
That one kills me. It really does. Oh my gosh, I can't. Or like, I remember there was a woman who was married to a black man, and she said something incredibly ignorant and basically dismissed a lot of black people's concerns in terms of how they're treated, some of the language that's used, and some of the language that's sort of accepted in society as normal when there's a lot of undertones to it. I think that's the problem that we have at the moment, like in the media especially. You know, there are very few like journalists that outright say they're racist, but there's lots of like sort of undertones, like racial undertones that are happening, and it's constantly in the media. Even when you watch a movie, right? If you actually sit down and watch a movie and you see the role of like a black person in it, it's very stereotyped. You know, they've got the same sort of characters playing the same sort of roles, things like that. It gives you, it means that people outside in real life view black people a certain way as well. It's a very strange thing that's happened, and it's sort of, let's be real, the people that sort of run the world, so to speak, they're happy for it to be like that. They're happy for black people to be viewed a certain way, Asian people to be viewed a certain way, certain religions, for example, as long as it sort of furthers their sort of agenda in life. You know, it's fine. It's like, I remember there was a show I used to watch. I don't know if you ever watched NCIS or anything like that. The way they sort of, how do I explain it? Basically, like when you look at like criminal shows and stuff. When obviously the Twin Towers thing happened, like 9/11 happened. All of a sudden, a lot of movies and a lot of TV shows started incorporating terrorism into everything. It's all about national security and terrorism. Do you know what I'm saying here? And they constantly throw it in your face. And then, like before that, like in England, they would have things like the IRA and all that kind of stuff. Like all these kind of things. They do it in the media. They try and take advantage of what's going on in the media, and then they blow it up into movies and TV shows. And all of a sudden, it's just part of everyday life. And all these stereotypes that you see in movies, they're in real life. Things like that.
This is that, Rachel. People like bigger people playing the big agendas and divide and rule tactics, and they don't even know they're being used to further this agenda. The majority of like fascists, some of the most educated people, racism actually came from philosophers. You know what I mean? Philosophy. Racism is a philosophy that was developed, right? And now, if you look at it, the far right politics in the world, they're all built by right-wing billionaires, funded. Who do you think funds like EDL and the Football Lads Alliance and the likes of Tommy and all of that, a lot of people? Who funds them? Who funds their campaigns? Who funds their thing? It's these billionaires who are so deeply bigoted, and they're using a lot of people. They rely on that people jingoistic like notions of nationalism. That's where they don't even know that these people hate them as much as they hate us as well, Rachel. That's the bit they don't understand. It is so sad, and it's heartbreaking for me. It's heartbreaking. I always look at people go like that immediately when they go, oh yeah, the people like the Labour's let down. For example, they go, Labour's let down a lot of the northern cities, the heartlands, a lot of the white working class. What do you think? What Labour not let down the black working or Asian working class people in the cities? What do you think? What's happened to them? Like we're just chilling. Where life is rosy for people, knowing how institutional racism affects in this country. But anyway, guys, we can talk to death about this subject for a lot more. We can absolutely love to know. Rachel, just before we wrap up the show, we just wanted to know what you think of the what do you think is a crucial game for Scotland and for Czech Republic today? It's almost going to kick off actually, not that long from now. But what do you think? Who do you think is going to win? And what do you think is a massive crucial game for Scotland if they want to get out of the group?
You know what? I think it's probably just going to be a draw. The thing is, I haven't seen much of the Czech Republic, and I know Scotland they have some, decent players, but they're nothing sort of special, if you know what I mean. So it's very difficult to call these sort of games. Like from what I've seen, a lot of these sort of lower sort of nations, they are playing defensive, as you said. Yeah, they do play very defensive.
They're at home, they're at home, okay.
Yeah, so it's a thing where you don't know how they're going to sort of approach the game. And I'd say it's the braver of the two teams that sort of go for it that might end up just winning it 1-0. But I couldn't call it, if I'm being honest with you. Yeah. And in terms of the group, I think it's a thing where if Croatia drops, say, like up 2 points against Czech Republic or Scotland, Croatia could end up coming third. England had a very, very good start. So you don't really know. Like it's going to be a thing where it's just one game, one sort of dodgy result, and the whole scale of the group just changes. That's just how the Euros are. So I don't know. I don't think Scotland have to do anything special. I think just sort of take their chances because it's going to be a very cagey game, I reckon.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
100%. 100%. I think this is a massive to me because of the fact that the England game, England beat Croatia. I think this is a massive opportunity for them to be at home. They've already beat Czech Republic twice before, Scotland. So it's a massive game where I think Scotland go for it today. I think they put 3 points on the board. The game against England could, if they can afford to lose or draw that game against England on Friday, which is obviously going to be a derby, and derby anything could happen. You know what I mean? On the day, we already know England can muck up, but it's going to be a very interesting game. But we know what we like to wish Scotland well. You know what I mean? We like to may the best team win, but you know what I mean. Hopefully, Scotland get it done because they've not been there. You know what I mean? Big up the Scottish people. They're so passionate. They've not been in the tournament for 23 years. You know what I mean? Since the last, actually, the World Cup was the World Cup '98 in France. That's the last time they were in a major tournament. So big up to Scotland for making it. And it's been a brilliant story, I think. They've got some young, talented footballers.
Yeah, they've got a decent technical team now.
Yeah. I like McGinn.
McGinn, and they've got another. They've got
Billy Gilmore.
Yeah. Even I think he's on the bench, but they've got the kid left-footed guy who plays for Celtic. He's a very good player as well. Yeah, no. Another kid who plays. He's a forward. He's like a striker.
He's not playing, by the
way. Yeah. But
really?
Fingers crossed. Yeah, I don't think Tierney might be out. He might not be playing in this game.
They've got,
but they've got obviously Roberts. Roberts is their captain.
Che Adams.
Che Adams. You know what? Big ups. Listen, exactly.
Armstrong for me, I like him at Southampton. You know, he's a good player. You know what I mean? So they've got players playing in the big leagues now. Normally, you see somebody play for United. McGinn.
That's what I'm saying. They've got a decent midfield. If they were to play McGinn, let's say I know Billy Gilmore's on the bench today, but that's a midfield of McTominay, McGinn, and Billy Gilmore. That's quite decent midfield.
Their centre halves are not great. They've got Hanley, I think. He plays at another club, so it's not great defence. But they've got a good midfield, man. You know what I mean? And then
I think the first goal is vital today. I think the first goal, and then obviously we got Sweden and Spain. Obviously,
Sweden.
You know what? Not a lot of people are giving any chance to Spain.
I know.
And even, what do you think of that, Rachel? The fact that they've not taken any Real Madrid players. I don't know what he's watching, but Asensio is a really good player for me for Real Madrid.
You know, I haven't actually seen their squad, but I think one thing that the Spanish players are very, very good at, as I said before, is keeping the ball.
Yeah.
And because they are very good at keeping the ball, if they can take their chances, I think they might do a lot better than people think. I don't think they're going to win the Euros or anything, but I had them as sort of getting to the quarters, semis, just because of the way they play football. And I think that if they can, it's not about having their defense being like ridiculously good. Keeping the ball is the best way to defend.
Yeah.
So I think they could do quite well. I think they'll surprise a few people personally. Yeah. But Sweden do have a couple of very good players as well. So you never know what's going to happen.
If they'd have started the tournament, I reckon they would have flopped. But because they've seen how the tournament's played out, they're more confident now because a lot of people who have been keeping the ball have been doing better.
Doing
you know what I mean?
Well, so, and teams who have been attacking have done well.
Exactly. So I reckon honestly, I put them down as flops for the tournament. But they might surprise me because I look at Laporte coming in and I look at the fact that they might not have great players. But as a team, if they look at Italy, they don't have many great players, you know, but they click as a team.
It's a unit,
as a unit, and they can get the likes of that Pedrikin and you know what I mean. If they can get them little kids involved,
he's a fantastic player.
You know, and Dani Almo and all these players,
and the guy who buried us in the Europa League final,
Moreno, man, and Paul Torres.
Let's not speak.
Yeah, the people that buried us, mate. The villagers. That's what we call. That's what we refer to them now. We call them the villagers. 50,000 population, Rachel. I've been there.
Old Trafford, you know.
Yeah. Crazy.
Old Trafford is bigger than the whole town, Rachel. I still can't take it, Rachel. Honestly.
No. We don't speak about United. We don't speak about United. None of this. It's been a good stream, guys. Come on now.
You know what? We're gonna have to talk about it. There's a little bit of the coming, but Rachel, we won't come to you. Me and Saeed will discuss this. So Sancho. I put the title of on Twitter. I said Sancho, no Sancho glazes out. I mean, it's absolutely here again. Deja vu. Somebody here in the comments was asking, what did we think about Sancho not being in the squad yesterday? I mean, he was on the bench, wasn't he? He was on the
someone
bench.
who did a photo of him in like a warehouse thing.
That's what I was
everyone thought, oh, medical. I mean, he's in the stadium. I'm just looking at this. I'm thinking, Man United are very clever what they do. It's a very marketing tool. They're dragging it out. Yeah.
The new kit comes out.
Exactly that. The new kit comes out. Maybe, I don't know if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you know what I mean? For me, you know, Rachel, I'm not the greatest Ole fan.
Yeah, no, I hear it.
Transfer, the transfer of, I mean, this the kind of the signing of Ole, sign a New Year deal, that might come shortly after. So there is a marketing tool going on. But I'll tell you what, if we're only just getting Sancho, oh my God, save everyone, mate. Honestly, I hope everyone is ready. Because at the end of the day, right, you've got to get the ball to him. You've got to have a structure in place. You know, you only got to look at Mahrez in the final. They couldn't get the ball to him. The midfield was absolutely swarmed.
Yeah.
And they couldn't get the ball to him. You can have the best players in the world. If that midfield is not good enough to keep the ball and play it in possession, then we are screwed, mate.
Nuruddin knows how long I've been crying about this with the midfield. It's beyond a joke. The fact that we replaced Michael Carrick years later with Matic, right? Yeah. Matic, don't get me. I liked Matic as a player when we first got him. I did like him as a defensive midfielder. He has no legs now. Yeah, he's gone now, and we should have been looking at a CDM last summer. Exactly. We weren't even looking at one, and this summer.
But Rachel, Glazonomics tells you. It's cheaper for them to retain a player than to go and sign a player.
Yeah.
So that's I hear that. I hear it.
2-year contract.
And Matt is going to give me an extension apparently, and then apparently go to the United board and be like a kind of a member of the board. You know what I mean? So then kind of, you know, he's always been a Mr. Nice Guy. Do we need Mr. Nice Guys?
No, we don't need Mr. Nice Guys. We just need winners, mate. I need winners in that club. But Rachel, sorry, you were saying, Karen, you were saying you banging on about it for a long, long time. About this,
just about the midfield. Like, I have my feelings towards Fred and McTominay as individual players and together. I have my feelings about them, but at the end of the day, they're told to do jobs that they're not completely comfortable with.
Exactly.
And regardless of what you think of them as players, the fact that they've been forced into that situation, and Ole has been forced to play them in that situation as well. To be fair, because Matic can't play every game. You could argue Matic should have played maybe some more games. That's debatable, but at the end of the day, McFred unfortunately gives us the sort of defensive stability that we need. Even though they're not the best at it, it's the best that we have so far in terms of giving us the sort of defensive stability at the cost of obviously the offensive side of things, which is the problem in itself. But we've made the DM for so bloody long, and I'm so sick of it. I'm just tired of this whole midfield thing. Like, you know me with the midfielders. There's so many options out there. Sorry.
Do we need Sancho? Be honest. Like, do we need Sancho?
I think, like, me personally, I think we need about 5 players.
Exactly.
I'm being serious. I think Sancho is like the only right winger we have really proper right winger is Diallo, and he's 18 years old. He arrived here in January. Very talented, from the looks of him. He looks very, very talented. By 18 years old, can we really, like, an 18-year-old is supposed to come into the team and be nurtured and have like people in front of him that he can learn from, right?
Exactly.
You don't bring in an 18-year-old to start. Like Arsenal are doing this thing with Saka and Smith Rowe at the moment, where they're relying on kids. You're not supposed to rely on kids. Even our kids that we met, like the class of '92, they learned from their elders.
Exactly.
And then they were nurtured and they developed. So this idea that we bring in Diallo in January and then start him in Europa League finals, I understand why people want it to happen. They want something different, a different sort of threat. but it's very, very difficult to just throw in a player. And we shouldn't even be in that situation in the first place. So, yeah, I think we do need Sancho, even though Greenwood played very well in the second half of the season there. I think we do need Sancho, and a striker, and a CDM, and a centre back, and maybe a right back. We need so many things.
We gave it to Guinea there.
Yes, trust me. But these clowns can only. You know what? They can never chew gum and walk at the same time. You know that, man. That's the Man United transfer negotiation, Man United football structure, that one and recruitment. They can never chew gum and walk at the same time. They can never do that. So you're giving them too much to do, Rachel.
You know what I mean?
But anyway, guys, we've gone over an hour and 10 minutes. I'd like to definitely thank Rachel. Rachel, please, can you plug your... Let me just take this off. So hopefully your thing will come up. So those of you who don't know, Rachel, please plug the channel and your Twitter. Twitter is the Devil's Avocado. What a wicked name as well. What a wicked name. So Rachel's one of the most knowledgeable people out here in the YouTube game. And also the First 11, the YouTube channel.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. I absolutely love coming on your channel, Nuruddin. It's always a pleasure to speak to you.
Rachel,
and it was nice speaking to you as well, Saeed.
You too, Rachel.
It's also always love. But finally, we got Rachel to talk about United. Finally, she couldn't resist. We got finally because
it's dangerous, Nuruddin. It's dangerous.
I don't want to know. I actually think when it comes to Sancho, I think we could go and get someone like Rafinha. We could go and get somebody like and like. The 80 million, we can go and get a CDM. We could go and get a centre half. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying. That we can go and get some like Neto. Neto's injured still, but I rate Neto. I highly rate that kid. You know what I mean? I think he's a United player, man, because he makes things happen. He's direct. Rafinha is another player with a Bruno connection, both playing for Sporting. He's a player that we could go and get.
There's also Goncalves as well. I don't know if you've seen much of him.
Yeah. Brilliant player.
I don't know if you know Devil in the Details. Danny from Football Terrace. He was telling me about him, and I watched a few of his games. He's very, very talented. Very talented player.
Good player. But again, for me, his leads for his family member would kill him if he left. You know what I mean? Leeds United. I know Alan Smith had that left, but that was an era where it was more. They need more money. But Calvin Phillips, if he left, oh my God, he'll be on the witch hunt in Leeds. I tell you that.
Exactly. You know what? And also big up to every one of you. Big up to all the mods in here. Big up man like Khalis Ramdeen Lassie, who's a United therapy journalist. Those people you don't know, the man who's breaking the news when we're live, anything that football, anything United related, anything that is relevant to the things that we're talking about, he's always breaking it. Big up, I can see Julia, Andrew, JB. Big up to everyone, all of the mods as well. And Saeed, thank you so much.
Yeah, man, anytime,
you know what I mean? And most of you don't know, like, check out 4 o'clock today. The Straight Jacket podcast will drop 4 o'clock, 4 p.m. 4 p.m. in between the games.
Time between the game, we have to time. Well, all the madness happening now. You've got to time everything right. So, yeah, man, check it out. We delved into the Euro. Bit chat about United structure, obviously.
Exactly.
The main man always gave it to me again.
Always, always telling us this. We always, to me, on that, the structure gets sorted out in Man United. We ain't going to see anything change anytime soon, honestly. Yeah. And whether you're Ollie in, Ollie out, I don't try to, whether it's different manager even, I don't try to get that. I will criticize him on the things that he does and what he did to me. You're only good as your last game. And Ollie's last game and the coaching team's last game was absolutely atrocious.
And you know what?
It was.
A village beat us, a village.
Yeah. The only compromise I would give next season to Ollie, this is an absolute compromise, is if he changes back inside. If he changed it, I'll tell you what, mate. I'd probably say, maybe I can say, you know what, next season, right, let's go. But if he's not willing to compromise even that, then for me, he's got to go with all of them. But he's not going to do that because in the day,
to me, you know what?
These are his friends.
Listen, at the end of the day, I will add everybody. I would before the clowns above him need to go, more than anybody else.
You know, I think he might sack himself next season.
You know what? Exactly. Therapy Army, it's been an absolutely wonderful show. Shout out to every single one of you. Those of you who are revising for exams, those of you who stole an hour from your revisions. Get
back on it, though.
Get back on it, people. So big up to every one of you. Like I said, we try to build a community here where voices are heard, things that are slightly different than most of the channels you hear on here. And that's the only way we do. We give it raw, ready, and that's it. We always say win, lose, draw, Glazers out, mate. That is
Glazers out always.
It always. So peace, love, and light to every one of you. And please, on your way out, please hit that like button like you're slapping one of the Glazers, man. Hit it. You know, figuratively, we don't condone any violence in this channel, but figuratively, it's like you're giving it to the Glazers because I will always say this is one of the headquarters of to get the Glazers out campaign.
Yeah,
always will be, man. Like CATV is, we'll always be there to get them out, to get the vultures out. So peace, love, light to every one of you, and we'll see you in the next one. Keep it locked, people. Keep it locked. United Central, ATV, First 11. Peace, love, light. Take care, people. Have a wonderful afternoon.